Let's get more on this story and speak to Dorothy Sang, who is live in Calais. She's a spokeswoman for Save the Children. Dorothy, many thanks for joining us today. How would you describe the situation at the camp now?
Well, I'd say it was a pretty, as it has been for the last few days, a pretty confused picture. But what I do know is when I left the camp just an hour or so ago, I left colleagues and other NGO workers with around 60 or more children who had been left on their own. These are children who would have run away from the fires that were happening today, only to find that the registration point had been closed. That was closed for children from about midday, and also the container spaces where children are supposed to go were full. So you had a situation where the camp is burning down and there was literally nowhere for children to turn.
I've just been reading some of your tweets. I'll just read one out here. Night is falling and there's still children not in safe accommodation and no solution being provided. What do you mean no solution being provided? Surely that was the whole purpose, that these people would be taken away to be in better accommodation.
Well, unfortunately, what's happened, and Save the Children and other NGOs have been calling for the demolition to be put on hold until children have been found safe accommodation. Now, that didn't happen. The camp was, the diggers went in yesterday, which has caused panic. We saw fires started overnight, and then those ones that raged through the camp today. And when I say no solution, I mean that we were literally standing there with a group of children, of teenagers and young children who had nowhere to stay because the containers were full. We were being told there's no space for them, but we weren't being told where else to let them go. So do we leave them there and let them go back into the camp, which is, been ravaged by fire? I mean,
so where are these children now?
So right now, my colleagues and other NGOs, the Refugee Youth Service and others are now down by the camp trying to find places for these children.
What do you think of how this Calais situation has been handled? Do you think it could have been handled differently?
Absolutely. I think that, firstly, I think that the demolition should not have started until there was a real certainty that they had got all the children out of the camp. Diggers went in yesterday when they knew full well that there were only 700 children in the container camps. Now, when the census data was done, that said that there were 1,300 children in the camp. So it's easy to tell by that you haven't got all the children out. So I think that definitely should have happened. And the way in which this has been done has been, it's not like this is a new problem. They've known that they wanted to get the camp demolished for a while now, and the effort should have been stepped up to get those children out. We shouldn't be faced with a situation where as night falls, there are still children who are walking around in a dangerous environment. I think right now is the most dangerous this has been for children. This just should not have happened. And this is just the children that we know about. I mean, I'm sure that there will be many children who will have run last night when the fires started, will have run again today, and they're now out there alone, unaccounted for, and we won't know where just how many children we might have lost through this process.
Dorothy, let me ask you about the wider problem affecting refugees. And we've just had new figures out from UNHCR saying this year has been the most deadliest year yet for Mediterranean crossings for refugees. I mean, as someone who works so closely on the ground on this problem of refugees, what do you think needs to be done?
I mean, it's a very complex issue, but I think what's clear is that people will continue to drown in the Mediterranean if there is not more search and rescue stepped up. Save the Children has its ship Vos Hestia, which is going through the Mediterranean, responding to those calls for help. But ultimately, people will begin to run if there are no safe and legal routes put out there for people to before they make those perilous journeys. We really need to start looking at the root problems of this crisis as well.
OK, Dorothy, many thanks for your time today. Dorothy Sang from Save the Children.